everyone.
Hi.
Hey guys, welcome to another session. We're going to be looking at bimorphs today. We're back on the freehand. If this is your first class, my name is Adam Williamson, and this is
Layla dear, hello.
And we're both artists and we're passionate about pattern. We're here to try and share that passion with you and to help as best we can, give you a framework so that you can create beautiful artwork from. Many of the skills that we're sharing are steeped in a tradition that's been built over hundreds of years. And these forms are archetypal forms that we're exploring, and specific devices which put together act like a language. So today we're going to touch on the language of the Rumi motif and style, and we're going to look at how geometry and certain shapes can be repeated and tessellated to give you a bit of a vocab that you can use to create your own patterns. So apart from creating this medallion and this rosette that we're going to work on today, this should hopefully give you a framework to create your own patterns and to start freestyling using the parameters that have been traditionally evolved over years. And most of them are most of these rules and principles are really a reflection of nature, looking at how nature, leaves on a plant, for example, will distribute to attract as much light as possible. How trees will work together to space themselves. How flowers distribute their petals. So we're going to be looking at these elements and also obviously creating a beautiful pattern at the same time. Any house rules we need to mention to new people? So yeah.
Everybody's muted until the end.
Everyone's muted.
In charge of that one.
Oh, so. Okay. So you have no choice. You're muted for now. Yeah, I mean, it would be lovely to have a constant feedback, but we have to do it through the chat because, you know, we have over 100 people, so otherwise it makes it a little bit chaotic if everyone's speaking. We did try that in the very first session. It was an interesting experiment. It's like an echo chamber. So Layla's here. It will be, I mean, these sessions, the biomorphic sessions I guess are not as all-encompassing as the geometry in the sense that, you know, if you miss a stage, you're in trouble. So I always find the biomorphs a little bit more relaxed. Any questions you have, just please ask Layla. And there might be pauses for us to just get more into the general theme of biomorphic design and layout. We're going to start by just having a look at a few slides. Let's see here. Screen share. Okay. Let's start with this little intention for the session. May we be guided by truth. May we have beauty revealed to us, and may it result in the goods. And as always, these classes do result in the goods, in the greats, in the magnificent and beautiful patterns that we see cropping up on Instagram. I might need to do a little bit of a scout on Facebook, or other platforms, because maybe these patterns are getting posted elsewhere too. Feel free, if you're not on Instagram, to email in any designs that you've made after the class. These are some great work. Always end up showing Ari's work. There's no favoritism. He just makes me look so good with his fantastic sketching abilities. And then this is a beautiful painting here by Nalufa. So gorgeous. That was the second part of the Mexar mystery. Some more Mexar pieces. Not sure if I showed John Dalton's piece last week, but I love it. Just seeing all that artwork there together, the result of the lockdown, so impressive. Although, if you're out there, that John, that drop pattern's upside down. Sacrilege in the top right-hand corner. But fantastic work. You've got a whole exhibition there. And I love the colors on this 16 and 8 on the left here. it's amazing how the same pattern can look different depending on how it's colored, which pieces are pulled out. Gorgeous shading there. I love this. This is such a nice color study, such an accurate piece of geometry. This was the last Mexar piece we worked on, the last head scratcher. Just congratulations to everyone who managed to get through this series of classes. It was a real challenge, we admit that, but it's always nice to be challenged and pushed. And then here's the weaving coming in. I noticed Arisha's woven all of the patterns by now. Really lovely work. It's so time consuming. We know this must have taken days. It's a nice piece from Ola, just showing how mad we went with the final part. There were a lot of lines. Okay, a bit of a throwback. Some people picking up on the previous classes, so or just getting around to paint them. I love this little biomorphic inserts into the Court of Lions piece. Really gorgeous work there from a fellow Londoner. And then some nice gold work. I think it's a very small piece actually, the piece we're looking at on the left from the Atarin. And here's Uzma. Hey Uzma, fantastic work, lovely colors, very floral. And then Alifa, I'm not sure if you're with us or if you're in your scrubs working away, saving lives, but I love this piece. We've got all 3 stages woven at what looks like quite a minuscule level. Really impressive work. Okay, another bit of a throwback from Vivian. I'm not sure if Vivian's out there. I think you might be calling in from Australia, if I'm not correct. Lovely, love turquoise. Can't get enough of turquoise. This is a great piece from Yazd. Here's some more from Hanifa. Okay, and then just before we get into the subject matter today, there is a little bit of a follow-on that we're going to run from today's class on Thursday. So this Thursday had a few requests for orders. So taking the same language that we're going to study today, looking at the Kapala shapes, looking at how these forms can work in a radial pattern, and expand them into borders. So we'll look at glide techniques, we'll look at miters, how patterns can work around corners, how we can work with different proportional rectangles, and then we'll also create, maybe 2 or 3 different border patterns at the same time. So that should be quite a fun session, informative, and it would be nice to link that with today's class, because I'll probably work within the Turco-Persian tradition that we're going to focus on today. So the pattern we're working on today is a Mamluk pattern, but it's very much within the Rumi style and the Turco-Persian origin. Okay, and then on next Sunday, we have a fun class. Myself and Layla have been drawing this the last few days, just recapping. It's got its own mysteries. It's really interesting. It has, as you can see, it's based on a hexagon, but then you also have 4-fold geometry in there too, on the edges. And what sparked our interest is there's a beautiful festival which we're thinking of going to, Festival of the Roses in a valley in the south of Morocco. So this wouldn't be happening at the same time as that. So to celebrate it, we're going to draw this beautiful rosette, and it weaves together. And there is actually there's a nice variation too, which is found in the Alhambra in many places. So if there's time, we're going to look at that variation. This is very satisfying. It's a little bit different from the Mexar because it varies. It's very focused on this radial expansion from the center. It's quite a meditation to draw. Okay, So today we are looking at biomorphs. Biomorphs really are one of three elements within Islamic art. You have the geometric foundation, you have the growth of the arabesque, and then you have the flowering of the calligraphy and the sacred texts. And these are usually displayed on a facade in this format. So you have a geometric foundation on the dado tiles, then you have an arabesque plasterwork, and then at eye level or at the top in the niches, you'll have the calligraphic forms. So everything's leading you ultimately to the calligraphy. So as you will find within biomorphs, you usually need a geometric foundation. So we'll start with today, which will be quite simple. We're just drawing a square or a circle divided into 8, and then working in one of those sections, a little bit like the Buonanin tablet, if anyone did that class. But this one's a little bit more complex. And if you're working with calligraphic forms, you need to lean on the fluid principles that arabesque or biomorphic patterns hold. So using those forms to create even contrast between the foreground and background, flow, proportion. So as well as being symbolic hierarchy, there's also a practical hierarchy there too. So biomorphic art, you usually have a source, a seed, and everything's growing from that source and seed and bifurcating in the same direction. From there, you add symmetry. So as you'll find today, we'll just be working in one section, adding the motifs, adding the elements, getting the contrast right, and then we'll add a form of symmetry or reflection. In this case, it'll be radial. On Thursday, we'll be working more with glide patterns. So these will be bilateral symmetry. Within the Rumi form, the Rumi style, and I'll explain this in a bit more depth when we start drawing, there are certain shapes. As well as a spiral, which you just saw, there's another structural shape called the kapala, which is a Turkish term, and it means closed form. And my pronunciation is probably well out, but the at the end, I'm not going to try to pronounce too well, but it's kapalı, but it's just it's like an I without the dot. This is a linear form. So this is not blocked in motif. This is a form that the motifs themselves are added to. So if we take this piece, which is in Central Asia, I think this is a Uzbeki piece. Looks very Iranian, but I think it's Uzbeki. You can see in white the cupola shapes. And then inside those, you can see what are called agraf, staples. Then in turquoise, you see the spirals. So these are two distinct structural elements that the motifs are added to. And this is part of that vocabulary which we're going to try and get across to you today. Once you have those structural shapes, which are in turn based on geometry underneath the whole thing, then you can fit the motifs and make sure they flow. In this sense, inside those Rumi motifs, we also have a subdividing pattern too. So we have motifs inside motifs, which is quite a common practice in the Safavid tradition. So this would be another example. In this spandrel, we also have the Hatay forms too. So they're the more floral, Chinese influenced, Chinese Turkestani influenced. Someone's having a party outside. So we have like Hatay and Yaprak leaf shapes and pench forms. And these are interwoven with the Rumi style. But what I want you to see is on the mitre itself, you have the Kapala form. And then flowing through that Kapala form, we have a spiral. And then on the spiral, especially on the bifurcations, you have these oval shapes, which are just drawn in with dots. And then the motifs are placed inside that. Now, whatever stage you're at as an artist, there's a level of working out that needs to be done. So unless you're reproducing the same pattern over and over and over, you're going to need to work it out. So you're going to need your drawing to be quite rough at the first stage. So I'm mentioning this because I don't want you to be too attached to your drawing, your initial drawing. The final drawings on the tracing paper are going to be the ones that we use to tessellate. That's when we'll be arriving at our final composition. But the early drawings should be very free. We want there to be flow. We want the even contrast. We want it to be quite energetic. And then we can get our fine line work mastered in the very final drawings. So those circles, they're called canvases, and they're representing the motif. So you don't get too involved in the detail, and you can get the spacing right. This is an example of the Rumi form from a previous student. She's taken some of the classes. I don't know if you're out there, Yasmin. Beautiful piece on gesso panel. This is just a series. So this is a more of a European technique where you take a piece of wood and you coat the wood with gesso, which is a calcium-based ground, which is mixed with rabbit skin glue. But this is painted on and then sanded back to give you a super smooth surface. Then there's an Armenian bowl, which is painted over the top. And then that's gilded. So water with the size in is run down the surface, and then loose leaf is applied to it. And to get the dark and light shadows, you just burnish. So you use like a dog's tooth burnisher, or a pencil burnisher, which is basically a piece of agate stone attached to a handle, and you'll burnish the areas to make them darker or more lustrous. This is a Hatay piece. I'll skip this one because it's not really necessary for today. So the Rumi tradition, it's based on Central Asian cave paintings of the Uyghur Turks, and this is an early Seljuk carving from Central Anatolia. You can see the wing form is based on a Rumi shape. Now, as the Seljuks adopted Islam, they started to lose the representation. The form became more and more abstract and leaf-like. And this is an example from the Mughal tradition. So you can see these two interlocking Rumi forms, which can be drawn really as a yin-yang shape. Like so. So this would be drawing it geometrically. So this is an example of the progression of that motif, and all the different components within that motif can be utilized to create the subsequent shapes. So you can use the Rumi forms to create, which is one half of the yin yang, to create a Topelic motif, and then you can use it also to create a Kapala shape. So we can go further and further into the depths of this shape, and there's actually a very good book which I'll try and get from the library at some point today and show you, which is a Persian book which shows how these shapes can be all drawn geometrically. But it's all about circles and different scales. This is an example. This is a Mamluk example from a lintel, and you can see the versatility of this form. So you have a series of 3 Rumi shapes, all interlocking. This is another one from Sultan Barkuk on Moisa Street in Cairo. One of my favorite buildings is a courtyard with these 4 doors, and each door has a beautiful shamsa metalwork. And then above it, they have these beautiful lintels. And this is a sort of combination of Topelic motifs and Rumi motifs in a form called ablak, where you have these interlocking stonework. Really difficult to do, to get it all scribed together like that. There's an example of the Kapala shape with motifs added. So you can see that it's not a motif in itself, even though it looks like one. It's combined with the spiral to create these underlining grids, like vines that the motifs can be added to. You could be seen really as just a Taj shape, a crown, that is then reflected. Okay, yeah, here we go. This is an example. So these are just names that I've given it, but you have the Shamsa, so this little sun. This is a word used often for the pamphlets, and we're thinking in a couple of weeks to do a little class just on Shamsas. So these divide up the texts in the Quran. They're also found in architecture too. Just really nice little vesica-shaped roundels. And you can see here, if you look very closely at just one corner of those Shamsa shapes, you should be able to pick out, there's a 4-fold Kapala motif in each of those. And here's some examples on the left. And actually the pieces at the bottom, these are more Venetian work. So there was quite a crossover of styles between the Ottomans and the Venetians. They weren't just at war, they were also trading ideas and concepts, especially in their wrought ironwork. Or actually, I see some 6-fold in there too, and 5-fold. Okay, well, I think let's get started. That's enough slides. Let's get drawing. Before we get into the final design, we're going to sketch out some of the elements. So if you could please find yourself a 3B or a 2B pencil. So it's a soft pencil. We will be using those to begin with. Okay. So what I have here is quite fun because I just found these yesterday. These are actually the first handouts I ever made when I was teaching on the MA. I was just a puppy. I was a 20-year-old artist in residence at the Prince School at the time, and one of the teachers, Mamluk Medallion, couldn't teach the class, so they asked me. And then these are quite cute. These are the handouts that I made for that class all those years ago. So this is a Hatay form, but this is actually a form that we'll look at on Thursday, the more 4-fold, because this works quite well with borders. I think I have an example of how. Yeah, so we'll look at something similar to this, how you can take this combination of capella and spiral and morph it into a border composition. What are we looking at today? I'll find the handout. So yeah, this is the Rumi style, and the motif is based on this pivotal ball and a movement, a gentle curve from the ball onto the spiral. And then you can get secondary motifs which flow from that ball, and then you can also use fluorations to expand. There are also, in the Safavid tradition, secondary double motifs within the Rumi motifs. What else can I show you? So we're going to look a little bit at the Topelic form today too. And this is the agraf form, and this is something that's often placed where spirals meet. So it's a staple that the spirals join and meet within.
Are they walnut ink?
Yeah. It's just walnut ink calligraphy. This one's quite cool. This is the yaprak. So those of you who like your vine leaves, you might notice that they're often called yaprak. Yaprak glara, which are like leaves. And you can see on here we have this. These are all segmented tooth leaves on the edges. If you look very closely, what you can do after a while is start to vary the width of the pencil. So the very tips are dark, and then as you move into the leaf itself, you relieve the pencil weight, and this gives you a lot of variation over a complete composition. The pench motif, these are more in the Hatay tradition. It's like ancient manuscripts. And then this is a little Shamsa composition. So this is something that we might work on in a couple of weeks. We'll see how we go with that. All right, well, that's just a little interlude. This is all drawn on grass paper. So there used to be a great shop in London called, what was that? Guanshenda? What's the name of the Chinese shop in Covent Garden?
I can't remember, but yeah, the one in the basement.
Yeah,
it's great. Yeah.
Incredible place, and you could buy all this interesting paper. I couldn't write calligraphy on it though, that's why I've had to stick this other type of paper on here. Mm-hmm. All right. So pencils are ready. So to start with, we're not going to be drawing a pattern. We are just going to be working on the elements. I'm just going to move my camera over a little bit. Ooh. It's so delicate at the moment. This cable.
So working with A3 cartridge paper initially, because you're just doing experiments. Yeah.
We're just sketching the elements to begin with.
Are you able to do Arabic calligraphy?
No.
No. Short answer. No.
Yeah, I have done, but I don't know enough about the script, about the forms that I'm writing. But yeah, and with Arabic calligraphy, there's a lot of, it's very different from European. There's a lot of pushing the reed into the paper, and it's very slow. It's a different rhythm completely to Latin scripts. Okay. So we're looking at the Rumi style. Now, what I'd like you to do is start out with a very, let's start out with some practice circles actually, because we need to get a little bit warmed up before we do our motifs. So what I'd like you to do is just draw a series of circles. And what I'd recommend is that you just move your pencil over the page before committing to the circles. So this is nothing but practice at this stage. When I was more of a calligrapher in my early days, I would have to practice doing circles for hours before we started calligraphy. So there's no time wasted.
It's just training the hand and the eye.
Yeah. And if you can move your higher joints, so joints higher up your arm, like your elbow or shoulder, rather than just relying on your fingers and wrist, you'll have more control.
So you're actually keeping your fingers fixed?
I'm keeping my fingers fixed, and then I'm moving my whole hand around. So I'm using more of my shoulder to draw these circles. Mm-hmm. Clockwise, anti-clockwise. And then once we've got a few, then maybe we can do some more precise spirals inside the circles. So just drawing around the circles you've drawn, and then diminishing the spiral into the center. Okay. Okay. Usually if we have a class, in a physical class, I get everyone to do lots of stretching and exercises and rotational forms with their shoulders, just to make sure we don't have any injuries. Okay, now what would be useful for you to practice is some straight lines, but as you're drawing these lines, just vary the weight of the pencils. So as you're moving from high to low, just varying the weight of the pencils, so going dark to light. Just try and make it as gradual as possible. And then I'm going to try some lines from light to dark. So the reverse. And I'm not drawing these quickly. I'm drawing them slowly with control. Okay. Now what I'd like you to do is draw some sort of combination between the spiral and the straight line. So we're just going to go and draw some flourishes. And I'm going to also introduce the light, dark, light. So I'm going to go light, dark, light with our flourishes. I'm just shaking my wrist out a little bit. And I'm just going to slowly diminish the scale of the flourish. Okay, then we're going to try and combine that flourish and make it more continual. These are all just warm-ups. It's just a warm-up just to get your hands freed up. Now we're going to give ourselves some parameters so that it's not so free, but this is still just a practice. So we're going to draw a cross. In fact, I'm going to draw 2 crosses. And then I'm going to draw some dots that are equidistant from the center. Roughly. And then we're going to draw a spiral. So the object of this exercise is just to try and get a similar spiral and get your mind thinking thinking symmetrically. Maybe a more ambitious one. So we can draw 2. One would be more of a logarithmic spiral and one would be more of an Archimedean spiral. Try and do this without getting my head in the way. That's my excuse. That's a better Archimedean spiral. My little circles aren't equidistant. Let's get that a bit closer. Let's get a color in there too. Okay, so we have a logarithmic and an Archimedean spiral. So the Archimedean one has a sort of even distance away from itself as it's growing from the center or from the outside in. A logarithmic spiral is one that's growing exponentially, so like a golden mean spiral. Okay, and we'll be using both of these in our competition. Yeah, I mean, I'm starting from the dot in this sense, but depending on our drawing, we'll be starting from either the outside in or the inside out. All right. Moving on. So I might just use a scrappy bit.
This is that one.
It's okay. Someone's having fun with a kazoo outside our studio window.
There's something new every week, right?
Yeah.
At least it's not dentistry.
Keep us. These things, please. Okay, what I'd like you to do is we're just going to draw a circle. So if you want, you could draw this as a dotted line. So it's just a sketchy circle. Can that be seen? Is it too light? I'll draw mine a bit darker, but this is just for your drawing, just draw it quite light. So a light circle. Doesn't
This
have
is
to,
practice as well.
this is still practice, doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're going to have a source on the left side. It's the beginning of our pattern, our motif, or a spiral. And then we're going to grow from that source. And then we're going to bifurcate. So we're growing, and then we're bifurcating. And then right where that bifurcation takes place, I'd like you to draw a smaller circle. Okay. And from that circle, we're going to create our motif. So we're going to use it. First, we're going to do the more horizontal version. And then I'm going to draw the more vertical version. What we have there is our Rumi form. And we have a bifurcation. So the extremity of the Rumi shape will be the tip here. So it's a little bit like it was a leaf. So you can imagine if it was two forms like that. The spiral would usually be much longer. It would often come and form around the motif itself. So it would come around here, continue around. But basically what I want to get across is that all of these things are based on circles. So this secondary curve here would be based on a larger circle. This form would be based on the circles. So there'd be a circle in here to formate. So the more circles you draw, the more cohesive the composition is going to be, all based on circles. And as I said in the slides, this form is drawn geometrically by drawing a yin-yang. So I'm to draw, have a kazoo orchestra outside the window today. So if I was to draw the yin-yang forms, I'm just going to draw circles. And then circles within the circles. I could pick my Rumi forms out from them. So see if I can just draw this in a different color actually. So we have a circle with 2 circles within it. The second one, they're going to be different size circles. They don't have to be the same size. Then I can use that as my grid to draw in the motif. So this is my pivotal ball. And this is my motif. Same would be applied to this diagram with 2 different size circles. Can't take the pressure. This pencil. So I have my pivotal ball and then the motif. The more circles you can draw, the better.
Is there an ideal ratio between the size of the pivotal ball to the circle?
No, you find all sorts. I'll show you some examples in a book in a moment. Okay. Right, let's draw some more motifs. So now we're going to look at, so this would be our Rumi motif. Now we're going to look at another motif called Tapalik. So for this one, you need to draw in a series of vertical lines. And then on those vertical lines, we're going to draw circles. And these circles are going to be similar, well, as close as you can to, oh, my hand's coming off the table a bit here. It's a bit tricky to draw. Right, so sets of 3 circles is what we need. And these are just very light circles. I'm going to draw them dark so you can see them, but if you can just draw them as light as possible. These are going to underpin our motif. So it's a set of 3 circles, they're all tangent along that vertical line of symmetry. Okay, and we're going to use these to proportion our motifs. The motifs are always going to start with a Taj shape.
Has the Rumi motif got anything to do with the poet?
Both the poet and the style are named after the place, which was the capital of Anatolia. So when the Seljuks moved into Anatolia, they didn't get into Istanbul for about 500 years. So they came from Central Asia and took over from the Hittites, the Byzantines in the 10th century. And then they didn't get into Istanbul till the 15th century with Sultan Mehmet. And in that time, the capital was Rum, which was basically related to Roman or foreign, so Asiatic Rome. And both Rumi, Jalaluddin Rumi and Mevlana and this style were named after the place.
Just the place, okay.
It's a short answer. Oh, I'll do this in the colored pencil. Okay, so the first one could just be using a Taj and then the 3 balls underneath. So quite a simple one. Let's do another one. So starting with the Taj shape. And this next one can have wings. So if you're right-handed, you always want to start with the left side first, because usually the left side is weaker than the right side. So you want to copy your weak side with your strong side. Also, if you're working large scale, your hand is going to cover the right side up when you're trying to copy it. So it's better to start with the left side, and then it'd be vice versa if you're left-handed. Start with the right side and then copy the right side of the left if you're left-handed. Okay, and then so this term relates to, well, you can roughly translate as hilltop. Okay. I might just enhance these can see them clearly. Okay, next. This is the root for the word. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now, we're just roughly going to sketch out a square for this next part because we don't have time to draw this geometrically. So if you could just roughly, next, enlarged a little bit. And then we'll put in the diagonals. So don't get too concerned with this. We don't have time to draw it geometrically. So this is just to give you a bit of a sense of how this, I'm just gonna have to go in front of the camera for a minute. Okay, so I just want you to roughen a square and then diagonals, vertical and horizontal, and then let's also roughen a dynamic square in here too. So this is going to be the framework for our next shape, which is the Kapala. So I'll let you just sketch that in. So this is closed form. This is the structural element now. So we're going to start like before, drawing a Taj. In fact, I just need to get in front of the camera to get a square on for a moment. I'll be out the way in a minute. Yeah, to be symmetrical, I have to be right above the drawings. Sorry, I'm going to move in a moment. Okay. Ta-da. So we start with the Taj shape, as before, but we're using the geometric framework, or freehand geometric framework, to help us space the shape. So the transitions from the Taj, from the crown or the bab, however you want to see it, to the wings is diagonal lines. So right on those diagonal lines, we're going to transition. to crown. Okay. And within this Kapala form, we can add our Rumi shapes and our Tapalic forms. Okay, so these are structural shapes on the right side that the motifs are added to. Okay, so we have structural shapes on the right, the Kapala and the closed form, and then motifs on the left. And I can give you, I'll try and give you a little example without touching the spiral ink. So if I'm to take our geometric form, so take a square and divide it up. Rather than drawing the Kapala in the whole form, you can just draw it in one of the smaller shapes. So let's see if I can do this without getting ink all over myself. And draw the Kapala forms inside. So it's a bit tricky to do this without getting in the way, but basically you have your regular Kapala forms that we've just practiced, and then you have two on the horizontal axis, which just tuck into the first two, and then you can add in your motifs. So you can have, for example, you can have a Tapalic motif inside here. And then you can have your Rumi motifs sitting on the wings. So I'll just draw them in half form. And then you can have a spiral, sorry, in the way. that flows right through that quarter. And then your motifs would be added to that. And then that gets replicated, so it gets reflected around the square. Okay, that's just a quick example of how we use those. But now we're going to put those elements into a composition. So we need a new sheet of A3. And we're going to start with a horizontal line. So we're going to go right in the center of the page.
So you're using good quality paper.
Yeah.
And this is
A3. Find the halfway point of your A3 page on the edge. So it should be around 15 centimeters. And then drawing in our horizontal line. And then I'm going to find the center of that horizontal line and put a little mark. Can you see the pencil okay on your screen?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go for a 13 centimeter radius. Okay, I think I might have to do this with a pen.
So your radius is 13 centimeters and you want to be working on just some smooth paper. That's the priority really, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So as long as it's hot pressed or very smooth cartridge.
All right, this is going to be a four-fold composition. So we need to divide our circle up into 8. Now, we're going to be using the same radius for now. So this is the same radius. And in fact, you might as well just draw it all the way to the edge. I'm placing my compass where the horizontal line crosses the circle. And drawing in 2 curves. So let me annotate this for you. So I haven't changed the radius. Once I've drawn the initial circle, I'm placing the compass point where the horizontal line crosses the circle. Next, we need to bisect. I'm going to place the compass where those curves meet the circle. Now, we could have just drawn those circles all the way through the center, but we don't want to do that because you want to leave it free for the bimorph, so you don't need those extra construction lines. So for the bisection, it's usually about 7, right? 7 centimeters, just over 7 centimeters. We're going to place the compass point where those curves cross the circle. So this would be marked in red. And we're going to draw a cross on our page. So we're going to open it up to about 7 centimeters. This measurement is only really there so that we can fit the drawing in our page when we're bisecting. It could be any measurement that's wider than half the distance between those 2 points. Just have to make sure the radius is the same from both sides in order that we get this cross. draw in our vertical line. And then we can place our compass point where the vertical line crosses the circle. And you will need to adjust your compass again, so you need to enlarge it to the original radius. So in this case, all you need to do is just enlarge it until it tangents the center of the horizontal line. So you need to return to your 13 centimeter radius. But you never want to just go back to the ruler. You want to use your drawing, be way more accurate. So in this case, you want to place your compass where the vertical line crosses the circle at the bottom, and just open it back up if you're using only one compass until you meet the center. And I'm going to repeat the process at the top, so it should tangent the center. Yes, it does. And then just draw in only the curves outside the circle so that we get what looks like cat ears on the top and bottom of our circle. Just make sure that your radius has returned to the original radius. Okay, so for these final curves. And then we can draw in the diagonals. Or our radial divisions of the circle. Okay, I'll give you a moment just to finish that off. And then when you're ready, I'd like you to take the following radius reading between the 2 points I've indicated in red. Kids say. Okay, so what we've done is draw a horizontal line, circle. The circle is 13 centimeters. Let me just draw it over here, shall I? Okay. You haven't, oh, okay, draw it again. So, horizontal line, and then have a circle, 13 centimeters. Then we're placing the compass where the circle crosses the horizontal line. Now I'm just drawing the whole thing in, but all we need are these parts. Okay, so I'm drawing it in just in case this helps you comprehend what we're doing. We don't need the curves inside the circle. All right, then taking our compass, you need to reduce yours a little bit for the bisection. So let's reduce it to 7 centimeters. Then we bisect the top and the bottom. So that we can find our vertical line. Once we've got the vertical, we can place the compass point where that crosses the circle and making sure that our radius is still the same. So returning to the original radius, whether you use the circle to do that or just expand your compass till it meets the horizontal. And then you're going to put in another couple of curves. So at the top and the bottom, but you don't need to draw any of the curves inside the circle because they're just extra construction lines we're going to have to navigate past. So all you're doing is just drawing the curves outside the circle. So it's highlighted in blue. Then we're drawing the diagonals in. All right. So hopefully you should now have found this radius. And we're going to take our compass and make a mark. So place it in the center and make a mark on the radial lines. To do all the upper ones for now, that's all we need really. So I'm making the following marks on the paper. In fact, we only really need the upper 3. It's a bit overkill. So need these 3 marks. 1, 2, 3. Then you're reducing your compass. Oh, I'll let you do that first, yeah. Give you a chance to draw that in. Okay, now what we're going to do, you can measure this if you want, but I just want you to reduce the compass halfway. So I'm just estimating it, that's enough for me. And I'm going to make another 3 marks on my verticals and diagonals. So just reducing the compass by half. If you want to measure it, you can. The only important thing, it really, is that all those 3 blue marks are the same distance from the center. So it's not super important if they're not exactly halfway. They just all have to be the same distance from the center. I'm just going to draw them with the different type of circle. The blue ones and the red ones. So these are all just the same distance from the center of our composition. All right. And then, in fact, it would be good to also bisect these 2 points. So we have an extra division. So these 2 red points, we're going to bisect those. So we have another radial division. I'd suggest a radius of 6 centimeters will be fine. So a 6 centimeter radius, and we're just finding the bisection between those 2 red points so that we have an extra radial line to help us out. So recommending a 6 centimeter radius. All right, once you've got that bisection, we're going to put a dotted line from that to the center. Okay, and what we're going to do then is have a break. So we'll just have a sort of, let's say, 10-minute break. So at 20 to 5 or 20 to whatever time it is, wherever you are, we're going to start drawing in the pattern. So we've got our grid all lined up, and we will commence drawing our final pattern at that point. Okay, so we might mute ourselves just while we boil the kettle, but we'll be back in a minute to check on the text. Or shall I put it a little bit out of the way?
People want to see that.
Okay. Okay, everyone. Here we go. So soft pencils now. In fact, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to start with the Kapala form. So these are the structural shapes. Remember the closed form we just drew on the previous practice sheet. I'm just going to get in the way of the camera for a second. Well, get this nicely drawn and then I'll get out of the way again.
Yes, soft pencil.
Okay, so yeah, I had to just get my head square on, unfortunately, to get a nice even drawing. But this doesn't want to protrude beyond that dotted halfway point, and we are flowing through those 2 points, so on the vertical and then on the diagonal or the radial line. All right, so we also want to make sure that these 2 points here and here, so the in-breath of the shape, are kind of equidistant from the center. Okay, so that's another thing. And then the line of symmetry is going to be here. Like so. So this point is going to be halfway. So you've got a few things to look at. What I'd recommend is rotating your drawing once you've sketched it in 90 degrees and then having a look at the Kapala shape, because it's always easier to see bilateral symmetry.
How did you get the radius of this circle?
The first, oh God, yeah, the first bit was so the larger circle was found between these 2 points, and then the smaller one was just halfway. We just estimated halfway. Now we're going to copy this curve. So it's on the left side. Okay, so sorry, I was just experimenting there, doing some extra lines. But the reason we overran the bottom of the Kapala shape is so that we had something to copy on the left side. So we only really need the left side, but if we didn't have it, we wouldn't have anything to copy. So you can draw that left side in, that's the next stage. Okay, I'm just sketching in the next bit. Okay, I just got to get square into the picture again for a second. Okay, so the next stage is to flow from this point down here. So on the vertical line, the smaller of the two circles we drew in, and we're going to flow up. We're not going to cross this one here, so ignore that one. We're going to flow beyond that and draw this loop. And again, we only need the part that's inside the section we're working, i.e. the right side of the balloon. But we need to draw the curve, it needs to flow into the balloon, so we need to draw the left side first. So a nice, gentle, smooth curve. Those of you who've drawn some biomorphic patterns with me in the past, or, like the Yazd or the Persian isometric grid piece, you'll realize that at this stage you can be a little bit messy with these lines because we're going to double the lines up to draw a weave. So at this stage, we just want things to be in the right place. Now, I understand that we don't have all the components of the jigsaw yet, so we will need to move things around. But for now, I just draw things lightly, and don't worry if they're a little bit sketchy. Okay, you also should notice that roughly this area in green, that I've circled in green, should cross on that dotted line. Mine's a little bit to the right, but I'll correct it up when I thicken the lines up. Okay, so we have this area that I've just circled in green, and I'm going to put a dot right in the middle of that. So just going to basically that green circle rather is it's just representing that area. So whenever we have elements, we want to place them in the center of the area they exist. So in this case, I've just circled that area in green, and then I'm going to draw a curve from that spot down to the other element that we've highlighted previously. Okay, so it comes down to here, to that point. Okay, so I'm just lightly roughing these next elements in, and then I'll draw them in and explain them in a moment. But basically, we're drawing the spiral in now, and the spiral is going to emerge from that point. In fact, I found that once I've drawn my spiral in, mine needs to be moved a little bit. So this spiral is going to tangent the vertical line. It's going to tangent, let's get rid of some of this annotation. So the spiral is going to tangent the vertical, it's going to tangent the circle, and it's also going to tangent the diagonal, and then it's going to start to diminish. I'm also starting to rough in some of the motifs because they have areas. So I'm starting to rough in this roomy motif here because it affects the motion of the spiral. So once the room motif is there, I can tell that I need to bring my shapes further down. Okay, I need to just get in the screen for a second. Sorry about this. Just checking my spiral. The best place to situate your head is right in the center of your eye of the spiral. Okay, so this is more of an Archimedean spiral. So we want it to be sort of equidistant from itself to begin with. So you can see here, I've got these, let's just actually, oh, I was trying to control Z, my pencil drawings there. So these distances, so you can see here, we have these distances from the spiral. That's why when I get down here, I can see that I need to move my spiral down a little bit just to give it more breathing space. So I gotta get rid of that original mark. So we pretty much have all the elements now we need, and it's a case of just moving things around in order to make sure that the area around each motif feels like it's in the center of the space. So, for example, if I take the roomy shape here, this motif here, all these distances are sort of similar. Okay, so we have similar distance away. It's not that it's a bit too close to the bottom and there's a lot of space at the top. So for example, let's just say that the red shapes, red arrows have to be the same as the blue arrows, roughly. So if your motif's a bit too high, once you've sketched it in, then you need to move it down. And I would, if you can, well, if you're not doing some time lapse, I would definitely be rotating the paper all the time. If I could, I'd be rotating my paper because your best curve is your convex curve rather than your concave curve. So like drawing a curve, for example, as my hand's here, drawing a curve this way is much easier than drawing a curve this way. It's just the natural flow of the wrist. So I often just turn the paper around to always be working to my strength. It's good to practice all of them, but if you can, where you can, break some rules. Work within your strengths. Okay, next stage, what I'm going to do is in between where the Kapala shape transitions from a wing to a crown shape, I'm just going to make sure that's halfway between the spirals. So this one here looks pretty good at the bottom. But I just need to move the top one. It should be more about here. So just make sure that these are equidistant. Just going to move that a little bit over. So we almost have the skeletal form now. And do we have any tracing paper? I just need a sliver. All right then, everyone. Finally, where the spiral meets the center, we need to put a motif. So there's a few options for this. You could opt for just a simple loser shape, like an almond shape, or it could be something different. Let's find some space up here. So basically where these spirals tangent, you need to cover them. So it could be, so we have our spirals when they're doubled, it's going to look like that. We need to cover them. So I've got a loser, but it could be put some sort of collar on like that, or it could be spirals. Something like this. But basically, we just need to mask it. Quite often there'll be a dipelic motif in this area here, but not on this particular pattern. Right, now what we need to do is thicken up these lines so that we can create a double line. So once you've got this motif in here to mask the tangent, let's start by thickening up these lines. Now, remember that all of this area in the background needs to be of sort of similar dimension. So let me show you what I mean, if I can, with the annotation. So like this area in here, wants to roughly be similar to this area. And this area here. And this area. So this is just roughly speaking, but we want to get these kind of similar in space. Okay. So if you need to move things around, then do that. We're going to double the lines, and we're going to try and improve our drawing when we're doubling the lines. Well, as an example, we're not going to put all the weight on one side of the line. We're just going to put the weight on where the design requires it. So firstly, I try to make the spirals flow nicely, and then I would think about these different areas of space. I also have this consideration right here, circled in red. I want to make sure this crosses right in the center because it's going to create a star in the middle. So that's one consideration that I need to make right at the beginning. And so we're just going over and thickening our lines up. And then on the tracing paper, we're going to draw this as a double line. Thickness is probably going to be in the region of 4 or 5 millimeters. If it's too thin, it can be quite challenging to weave, and so unless you're feeling confident today, let's just go for 4 or 5 centimeter thickness. Millimeter. Just going to shove this in here for a second. Ultimately, this is what we're looking for. This is the scale I'm used to drawing at. So we're going to be, this is the section here, right? So we're going to be drawing these as double lines so that we can weave them. So for now, we're just shading them in, and then we're going to put a piece of tracing paper on and draw it like my example here as a double line. There are different ways of doing this. Some people will just go ahead and draw it immediately as a double line, like put a second line next to this one, but I feel like that's going to ultimately work against you, because some cases you need to put the weight on the left, and in other cases you need to put it on the right. You can't improve your drawing that way.
So this way allows you to build up gradually.
Allows you to make improvements
Mm-hmm.
to the smoothness of the curve. Different techniques. This is the technique that I like to use. I mean, this is maybe a combination of working in, you know, doing things like life drawing and design and lettering and different graphic approaches, especially lettering. I did a lot of lettering design, and this is the approach we use to draw Roman scripts, and it's put me in good stead. Basically, just being very free at the beginning, and a little bit messy, and then refining the drawing. So if I was drawing, if this was a completely fresh composition, I would be much more messy and free form, and then I would layer tracing paper on top to refine the drawing. And then you also just capture an element of flair and life and vitality in the drawing. It's not just something that's too controlled. So if you can just be quite free and expressive at the beginning, and then slowly refine that drawing later, it will keep some of that energy.
You're using a 3B right now?
I think so. 2B.
2B.
Yeah, when we move to the tracing paper, we really need to use the 3B.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to shade in the motifs because I want to get a sense of foreground and background contrast before I start drawing the linear lines around them. So right here I have a little bit of a compromise because the spiral needs to flow nicely.
It's leaving too awkward of a gap.
It's meaning that the center needs to be a bit over here, so I'm just having to move that now a little bit. Okay, I just got to get. Okay, just got to get in the screen a second. See the spiral clearly. So I'm going to try and improve my spiral. Okay, I think it's. I'll be out the screen in a second.
got biomorphic hair.
I do, yeah.
Can we take the annotation?
It's very strange not to be able to move the paper around. Yeah, I would be moving the paper around if I could. So I'd recommend this to you guys. Because if you can look at the spiral from different angles, it will help you definitely turn your drawing upside down. And actually, if I draw looking at the screen, get a square on view. Okay, now you can go to tracing paper. I might just draw this with a pen actually, just to get this double line so you can see them. Okay, so I'm just improving the visuals for the outline, but in a moment we're going to place tracing paper down and draw these as a double line. Then we'll draw the mirror version, then we can work on the weave. Oops, daisy. And then what we need to do is pounce the design down.
So you're not thickening the left side of the loop because that's going to be mirrored.
Exactly, yeah. It's unnecessary. Okay, so at this stage, or at the very least at the next stage, you need to take into consideration the following areas. So here, here, and here. These, you want to make sure that the diamond that is created by crossing the two lines occurs right on the radial line. Okay, so just making sure that these lines cross. Oh, let's use a white. So that they cross evenly on the, in this case, on the vertical line, create a dynamic, a diamond, where the top and the bottom cross on the line of symmetry. So those points occur on the line of symmetry. All right. Now we need a piece of tracing paper. Now the tracing paper, most importantly, it just needs to cover the part that we've drawn and the section to the right of that. First thing we can do on the tracing paper is draw out the diagonal lines, the radial lines, vertical 2, and these can be drawn with a hard pencil because we don't necessarily need to trace these through. But the biomorphic parts need to be drawn with a soft pencil. So I have drawn in the following. So I trace through, again, it's probably better to do this in white. Traced in these radial lines.
So the tracing paper just needs to be big enough to cover these two segments.
Exactly. So it'd be one quadrant, 1/4 of the circle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 3B pencil is recommended. 3B in there. And now I'm just drawing all the lines. Now it's important that you cross all of these lines. So don't try and second guess the weave, please, at this stage, because you'll affect the fluidity of the line and also the Wow, it's so. I think that paper is quite difficult to draw, and I think it's too spongy. I'm realizing that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so drawing all the double lines with a soft pencil, crossing them. And as I was just about to say, the weave is going to alternate in each section. So for now, just cross them and we'll work out the weave when we have the mirror version of this. Okay, almost there. And then we'll get to the part that seems to stump everyone, just folding the tracer paper in half. Okay, now we can take this off and fold it in half. We're folding it in half this way, so that the pencil, when we open it up, is on the same side. Okay, so in case it's not clear, it's this way. Fold in half, the vertical line. Right, so if you take a look at that, the pencil is on this side, and then I'm folding it And I'm going to place it down on my drawing again with the pencil facing down. And I'm going to stick it in place because when I make the tracing, I'm going to make an imprint on my drawing, which is just kind of a byproduct, but you might as well. It gives us a nice example. So crossing all the lines. Okay, once you trace it out, you can take the tracing paper off. All right, so we have a print on here. It's not actually what we need. We're more after the tracing paper itself. So I'm going to just put that back in place. So once you've got the those sections traced out, we're then going to work on the weave. Okay, so we're just interested in the tracing paper for now. And just going to make sure that our lines cross over nicely. So our most important point is the point near the center where our spirals overlap in that diamond shape. So this point right here is where the weave's going to begin. And I'm just going to go right over left, or left over right rather. So this is also where the weave's going to transition from one direction to another. It's going to change from one direction to another. All right, so I can just flow from there and just put all my overs and unders in. And it's going to be opposite on either side of that vertical line. So this is going over here, it's going to go under here, it's gone under here, it's going to go over here, meaning that these two are opposite. So that's one of the reasons why we can't just do the weave on one section and then fold it and trace it, because it's going to be opposite. Apart from that, if we do it this way, it means that the lines marry up. If we just stop and start the lines without erasing them, they often kink. Okay, over, under. They're always going to go under the body of the motif. We're not really counting that as an over. Okay, so under, over. Just going to tidy that loser shape up in the center. Okay, I'm also just going to shade the background a little. And when I'm doing this, using coloring pencil, I want to try not to color over the pencil.
Would that come off if you're transferring it?
Exactly. So I want it to come off. But if you're transferring with the aim to paint or do anything later, then don't worry about this stage. I'm just doing it for the effect of for the class. So. In fact, just for the sake of coloring, I'm just going to put a
Closing circle.
closing circle just on this section here. Also going to shade in the weave a little. Okay, almost there. So if you're wanting to, you could always take a quick screenshot of the weave before I move on. So if you'd like to take a quick screenshot now, now's your chance. 3, 2, 1. I'm going to zoom out. Okay, do we have another sheet of paper there? Thanks.
Is there a deadline to submit images for the book?
Oh yeah, I'm going to send out an email and request the images when I get a second. So there's no deadline yet, but you could always wait for the email to go out. But hopefully I'll send the email out in the next week or so. All right, I'm just going to put a little vertical line in here just to help me out. Then I'm sticking my drawing, my tracing with the pencil side down. Stick that in. So pencil side down. And then either using an implement like this, so a very smooth rock, or a teaspoon, or a burnisher, or a shell, or your fingernails, we're going to transfer the drawing onto a new sheet of paper. If you're using your fingernails or whatever you're using, you have to put down a lot of pressure. Before I remove it completely, I'm just checking that it's transferred completely. Okay, I'm happy with that. Then I'm going to place my compass point in the center, remove the masking tape, and then rotate until I line up again with the edge of my quadrant. And then go about tracing down again. Or pouncing down rather. Then I'll repeat that process. Compass in the center, rotate. This time I'll also have the vertical line to help me out. Okay, this time I use the rock. Oh, looking cool.
As it gets lighter, you need to press harder.
Yeah.
So I feel funny when it's the nails.
Oh, is it giving you the heebie-jeebies?
Yeah, it's kind of like nails on a blackboard or something.
Really? Can you hear them?
Mm.
I'm not scratching it. Just... Final one. I would always recommend just having a little peek under your tracing paper before rotating or moving it to check that it's all traced through before moving it. It's almost traced through. It's moved anyway. Okay, so now I have my drawing pretty much traced out. might not be as clear on your drawing and your camera as it is for me. But it's pretty much all there now. And if you were going to paint, you wouldn't want to do much more than this. It's ready to paint or outline with pen or however you want to finish it off. You wouldn't need to put more pencil on there. Let's see, maybe I can zoom in a little bit. Oh, oops. Very sensitive wire. Sorry, just, here you go. It's back. So there may be some little bits of cleaning up you need to do. It's probably just a bit of lag, I think. Is that good? You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. So for example, maybe just around here, I need to just make sure that these marry up nicely. So just on some of the areas. Where the design's crossing the boundary line, might need to do a bit of tidying up. But other than that, hopefully your design is all marrying up nicely. What else can I see on my drawing? Yeah, it's all looking pretty good. Okay, well, that's finished nicely, bang on time. So the plan is to kind of continue this on Thursday with our biomorphic borders. So we'll sort of take this to another stage and look at how you can frame. It will be a nice process because it works quite well if you frame geometric patterns, especially some of the patterns we've drawn in rectangles or squares. You have a biomorphic border around them, reminiscent of manuscript production. And we'll go a little bit further into the use of the spiral and the capella and the motifs. The Dropbox link is there. I can try and put it in the chat again if you've joined late. So how do I get the chat? Okay, that's the Dropbox link. There's some handouts. The video will be uploaded in an hour or two if you want to watch back. And if you have any time and you want to talk about your experience today, show us your drawing, we're going to open up the floor to have a little informal chat. So, hello everyone. I guess everyone's probably still got their head family embedded in their drawing. Thanks, Jazz. Thanks, everyone. Hey, guys. Hey, Bridget, how did you get on?
I liked these more than I thought I would.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Lovely.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
This piece is, I don't know, coming along. I don't like how rough it is, but I feel like I'm gonna have to redo every line if I actually want to do it decently. I like this. I'm
Oh,
very
good.
excited about
The borders. Yeah, yeah. Oh, super.
Thank
Mm.
you.
Thanks, Bridget. Thank you. Mhm. Hey, Alifa. How did you get on today? Oh, looks great. Beautiful.
Yeah, pretty well, I think.
Oh, wow. Really nice spacing between the shapes. Very even. Great job.
Thank you, thank you. I really enjoyed the class. Thank you so much.
Oh, super. I like your the Buonanin tablet in the background there.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that went up.
Who's that in the corner?
Oh, that's my teenager. That's my child. Yeah, he just wants to see who mom's talking to.
Okay, okay. Is he you getting him involved at all?
And no, unfortunately, yeah.
Oh,
No.
teenagers.
I did try to get my daughter involved, and I kind of caught her and a couple of her friends and did a Zoom online class and just kind of try and start them off on some geometric patterns. So they're kind of enjoying that, and I hope they can, become a little more skillful, and then I'll pass them on to you.
Okay. Anytime, yeah. All right. Thanks for laying the ground.
Yeah.
All right. Nice to see you.
Thanks.
Thank you for doing another biomorphic. They're really,
Thanks, John.
they're really delightful.
Oh yeah. How did you get on?
It's getting there. I'm retracing it onto watercolor paper right now. So
that's great. Yeah.
So I have to do a little bit of untangling, but they're just such exuberant, beautiful shapes, and I've been looking at them for years, and I had no idea how to how to draw these things. So thank you for walking us through all these steps.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Yeah, once you get a sense of how they come together, it's really the whole world opens up.
Yeah, that whole idea of balancing the negative and positive space, the relationship between the shapes and getting it to flow nicely is it's a nice little thing to work with.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, thanks, John. Nice to see you.
Hey Adam.
Hello, Isma. Hey, how are you
Adam.
doing?
I'm doing well, and here's it. I don't know if you can see it here. Is it visible?
Not coming into focus
yeah, sorry,
yet.
you can't see it.
Okay. How about now?
Yeah, better. A minute.
Sort of.
We'll have to wait for you to post the painting.
I will. I will paint it and then post it. Thank you so much. I always enjoy this. You know,
Yeah.
there was a time when I reached a time when I was just wondering, am I losing a freehand skill, just
Yeah.
drawing the geometric shapes
Yeah.
with the ruler and the straight edge, the pencil. I thought of having this, I think, artist, I don't know, how do you, can I say phobia? No, I can't say phobia. So you get into that depression kind of a thing that you're not going beyond this. So I sort of now realize, okay, good that I've been doing this, and I do have a skill, freehand as well. Biomorphics are realization of that. you know, when you are not doing anything by the tool, you're just doing it freehand.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks to you. I think my journey as a mandala artist has been evolved to now to Islamic geometric patterns, and believe you me, I am just enjoying it.
Okay.
And I think this is the calling, you know, for me. And yeah, I am looking forward to be teaching this also very soon.
Good.
You know, I've been teaching mandala. I've
Yeah.
been teaching geometric, you know, those symbols, you know, those tetrahedron. I mean, all the platonic solids and all that. But soon, I think I'm going to be starting this as well. All
Good.
thanks to you. I have been wanting to learn from you since I think almost 2 years now. And I used to pray to God, how am I going to reach London to or Morocco or Fez? I would keep seeing your, you know, courses online that you are conducting, and I would just pray that let me start learning and blessing in disguise. Really, God listens to the prayers.
Oh no, I hope this pandemic wasn't your fault, man. Your prayers are too strong.
Sorry?
No, okay, that's so sweet to hear. Thanks, Isma.
Someday I'm going to join you, nevertheless. So,
Yes.
inshallah.
I look forward to meeting you in person.
Thank you so much. Bye, Layla.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. See
Thank
you.
you.
Bye. See you.
Hi, Adam. Hi, Adam. It's Julie.
Julie. Ah, there you are. Hey.
Hi, just saying hi. I had a great time. Thank you so much.
Oh,
really fun.
that's great, Julie.
Thank you. All right, see you next time.
Okay, see you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Good to see you.
Hi, Adam.
Hey, Susan.
Line quality is really bad, but
Oh,
I
nice
love that.
move. That's smooth move there.
What can I say? I always love the technique of coloring the background and then burnishing it onto the paper. It always has such a nice effect.
Yeah, you had quite a radial burnishing technique, I noticed there. It was very like sunlight. Could I see it again?
Sure. This
You're
one?
burnishing from the middle out. Oh.
Yeah, don't look at the line quality.
Let's see the
Is
back
that what
again.
you mean? Or is it?
Like a gunslinger. Oh,
Yeah.
See, it's sort of radial, isn't it? Yeah.
Thank you. It was great class.
Oh, good. You might have done this before with me, right? This pattern.
I think I've done a few of them before, but since I have no memory, it's like doing it all over again for the first time.
That's great. My dad says that. He just like watched the same film over and over. I mean, yeah. How do you know who I am? Oh, so good to see you, Susan. Are you allowed out now in LA? Can you go out skateboarding again? And
they've just decided we have to wear masks all the time because we've had an upsurge.
Oh.
But that's okay. I was doing it anyway.
Okay.
There are a lot of nuts though that are not.
Yeah. Oh.
We're just busy here trying to create negative news around the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay.
Not a great time to say I'm from the United States, I guess. But never mind. No politics. Sorry.
Yeah. It's okay. I don't read the news. I have no idea what's going on.
Good. Glad to hear it.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling healthy now. And I mean, you're immune now, aren't you? You can just like.
I don't know because I tested negative, even though I know I had it because I had all the symptoms. But I had a second test after I was well. And of course I knew that one would be okay, but I could tell that the first one was not done right because they take that swab way up into like your brain practically. So anyway, I'll probably get the test, the antibody test, but I hear that's only 50% reliable. So I don't know.
I think
I'm okay, except for the 7 a.m. classes, which are hard.
Oh.
But it's better than the 6 a.m., so that's okay. I've got a few of those too.
Okay, okay. Oh, well, thanks for making the effort, Susan. It's good to see you.
Oh, yeah, always, always.
All right. Till next time.
Okay, adios.
Adios.
Bye.
Hey, Lisa.
Hello, how
How's
are
it
you?
going, neighbor? Probably
Oh,
just
hello.
a couple of 100 meters down the road. Oh, I think you need to do that a little bit smaller, really.
Doing it small really helps with the positive negative space
Exactly.
balance because we have no negative space.
Yeah, yeah. There's no negative space.
Yeah.
That's what we need. No negative space.
I was wondering how far down the road you guys are. It'd be fun to pop over and say
Yeah,
hi
yeah.
once permitted
Yeah,
to.
definitely. Yeah. Why don't you come over one Sunday? Or we're
That'd be
in Bow. We're at the end
Okay.
of the road. We're at the end of the road.
Fantastic. We'll do it one of these weekends. I've really enjoyed these. They're kind of a highlight of my week.
Oh, yeah. It's really humbling when we see you've joined, because you're one of the masters.
I just like it's like being part of a big group of friends, and even though we don't get to be together, we get to be together. So
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Oh well.
Anyway,
Well,
thank you very much.
Let's chat and come visit. Yeah.
Yep, sounds great. Okay.
Speak to you later. All
See
right.
ya.
See you, Lisa.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Wow.
Hello, Adam. It's Miruna speaking.
Who-
Miruna.
Maruna. Hello, Maruna.
Miruna, hello.
Hey, how did you get on?
I really enjoyed drawing the little shapes
Yeah.
and getting a better understanding to how these are actually drawn. I really, really enjoyed this one because I've been trying to study this myself, but it's very difficult.
Yeah. Once you have the
to get
components,
the flow. Sorry?
once you have the components, it's a little bit like a jigsaw puzzle. You can just start to put them together in different ways to make all sorts of different patterns.
Yeah. I've also taken one of the Arabesque classes with Lisa, which was wonderful.
Oh, great, great. Yes. Good stuff.
Yeah, but I still have lots of struggles with drawing these shapes, and it would be lovely if you would show us more flowers, how to draw them, and how to get a glimpse of the flow in them.
Yeah. Well, we'll do some more on Thursday, so we'll kind of continue.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
Yeah. Oh, great, great. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'll show you one. This is my absolute best that I've done, which
Whoa, look at that.
I don't know if you can see it, but
amazing.
The shapes are very, very. You can see it's done by a beginner if you look closer into the shapes.
Beautiful work.
It's just that, as Lisa is saying, as long as you go small, they look good.
Not necessarily. It's difficult to go small. I find it difficult.
I find it much more easy than drawing on the A3. This is my A3 one.
Yeah, nice. Oh, great.
Which is, yeah, but it's difficult. I'm much more comfortable with the smaller sizes.
I'm more comfortable big, like A0.
Well, yeah, we're all different.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, yeah, thank you very much for this class. It was lovely.
It's a pleasure. Good to see you. Yeah.
Yeah, good to see you. Looking forward to Thursday.
See you.
Thank you, Leila. Bye.
Do you know the work of the architect Louis Sullivan?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think he combined the Celtic, Gothic, Islamic, and neoclassical biomorphic shapes and sort of blended them together into you know, maybe slightly Art Nouveau combination.
One of his pieces is up for sale now in Chicago. I just saw an article. Amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
They got a bunch of mill. Yeah. His work is incredible.
He was studying at the Beaux-Arts when all those first books about Islamic design were being published, and you know, and so he,
right, yeah.
And then all the Gothic, you know, they were studying the Gothic cathedrals and the neoclassicals, you know, so he was right there at the beginning when people were rediscovering this stuff, and then turned it into this extraordinary.
Yeah, I was really surprised at all the level of decoration on the high rises in New York and cities.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, actually, when you look at closer at the high rises, there's lots of corbels, scroll work, and
yeah, he's got a really beautiful building in New York, right near where you taught last year.
Oh, what in Greenwich?
No, over east of there on Bleecker Street.
Oh, on Bleecker Street, like the Simon and Garfunkel on Bleecker Street.
Yep, the corner of Bleecker and Crosby, only a few blocks away from where you were teaching, and it looks like something, you know, that went from Morocco and then visited Paris and then blended the sort of the Gothic. It's an extraordinary building.
All right, yeah, we'll check it out next time we come.
Yeah, Fired Building, I think it's called.
Okay.
What was the architect's name again?
What was the name?
What was the architect's name again?
Oh, Louis Sullivan.
Louis Sullivan. Okay.
Thanks, John. Was he Art Nouveau period?
20.
20. Okay, yeah, Art Nouveau. All right.
And then Louis Bourgeois was a contemporary of his as well. Similar first name, different last name. French-Canadian architect.
What was his name?
Louis Bourgeois.
Louis Bourgeois. Okay.
Yeah, he traveled kind of all over the world and then based himself back again in the West.
Okay.
A lot of biomorph, things like that.
Okay, yeah, we'll check him out.
Hi, Adam and Leila.
Oh, hey, who's that?
Hi, I'm Fab.
Hi, Fabiola. Hey.
All right, so let me show you. I was excited about this. I could totally see where's the lines one. The line one was fun because you can see how when I tried to do the straight lines, there was no straight lines at the beginning. They were all over the place. But by the time I got to the horizontal, it was better. So that was a lot of fun. And then this was my notes on the
good stuff. Yeah, nice drawings. Lots of life.
It was nice. And then my drawing. I think I love the biomorphics more than I like the geometric ones, but I think I like the biomorphics better.
I think these will work very well. That would be amazing on a plate.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Maybe like a caustic. Do you ever use like the caustic tile effect where you encaustic?
Yeah.
Like what do you mean, like a caustic?
Well, you scratch out the pattern and then pour in a slip. So you maybe use a terracotta and then you scratch it out and then pour in a grey clay and then scrape it off, and so it stays in the gaps.
Yeah, like inlay.
Yeah, it's like a Victorian kind of neo-Gothic technique.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I actually should try that. And then my friend, go ahead. What were you saying?
No. Go.
My friend made me some masks and asked me, "Do you want floral?" And I'm like, "I want geometric designs." So this is what she got me.
Oh, nice. Yes.
So I got that one and this one.
Oh, right, yeah.
With all the hexagons.
Nice. Wow, they look serious.
Thank you so much. If you can do more biomorphs, I will be happy. I mean, I like the geometric classes too, but the biomorphic is just so much more fun. Just understanding. I also now realize I did one with butterflies, and it looked too busy. And I now, when you explain the negative space, I think that's my problem, is I put too much stuff on the empty area. So I'm going to go back and revisit that one. So thank you for also explaining the design decisions.
Yeah. Oh, it's a pleasure. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. That's great. That's great news. I look forward to seeing all these things on plates and painted and yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to wait for them to dry. I'm drying them slowly this time.
Oh, well, great to see you. See you next time. See you on Thursday.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Anyone else want to say hello before we go?
Hi, Adam.
Who's that?
Another wonderful class.
Hello, hey.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just finished rubbing the pattern. I had a couple questions, though, because I felt like this, what is that thing? The collar thingy looks too big.
Yeah, if it's a bit too big, you could always put something inside it as well. Maybe put a like a diminished shape inside it, so just to even it out a bit. But it looks okay from here. Or you can reduce the size. It looks fine to me. Though our screen's quite. Yeah.
And I don't know if my spirals were supposed to be more further apart. Does that look right? Or
they should tangent. And in fact, at that point, you could even put another little lotus shape to cover that tangent. I forgot to mention that.
Oh.
Okay.
So like let's see if I can show you on mine. Like you could put another one here as well. Can you
would
see
it be the
that?
same size as the other one or smaller?
It's best if it's the same size. Yeah.
I should change them all so they're all of them are the same size.
Yeah, that would be ideal. If they're the same size, and then if it's too big, then you might need to shrink the other one. It just needs to really cover the tangent, that's all. There's something, yeah, you don't want to see the part.
Meeting, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh,
really
great.
enjoyed that. I came together. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for another wonderful class. I don't know if you can see this very well.
Is that Jihan?
Yes.
Hello, Jihan.
Hi.
Ooh, you can sort of see part of it. Yeah, it's a bit hard to make out. You can see the middle.
Yeah, it's quite. Yeah, and I like your suggestion of actually coloring it before we trace it. I like how, like the background, if you can see the light blue.
Yeah. Okay, it's worked.
Although that needs some work. Yeah, I enjoyed that better than just tracing the lines.
Okay, good.
It
Yeah.
adds some character to it.
Yeah, and I was using a watercolor pencil, and sometimes that can save you a lot of time as well, because you just go with the brush and just activate.
Oh, I like that suggestion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, it's a pleasure. Looks great.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jihan.
So did you say we would be putting a border around this on Thursday?
Oh, it's a square border, and it could surround anything. I mean, in fact, it would probably be nice to surround a geometric pattern rather than a biomorph around a biomorph.
Oh, okay.
I like the. Sorry, Leila, could you pass the?
Which one?
Yeah,
This one.
the heaviest one. Like this is a great book. It's Martin Nings's book.
Oh,
you have this one?
Not yet.
Yeah, I think Lily was just saying it's kind of got a bit expensive now. I'm trying to find a geometric one, center. Just give me a second. Ah, yes. So, like this kind of thing where you have the. Obviously, we're not going to be doing anything that detailed.
Beautiful.
But yeah, biomorph around a geometric square it's always very nice. But we'll talk about this stuff, yeah, on the next session.
Can you show the cover of the book again?
Yeah, I'm just going to put something in here. That's very nice. Just found a nice one, so I'm just bookmarking that.
Nice.
You got it?
Thank you.
Cool. It's by Martin Lings. He used to be the curator at the British Library, and he's written lots of books on Sufism. He wrote a very good book on the Prophet. So, well worth checking him out. Anyone else? Let's say hello. Who's that?
Araceli.
Aracilia. Oh, look at that.
Oh, wow. Very nice.
Awesome. Lovely shading.
I quite like it, yeah. I love the biomorphs.
Yeah. It's a bit like right and left side of the brain.
Yeah.
All right, see you later. Bye.
See you.
Ducking out under the camera.
Yeah, sorry. I'm painting. I'm here.
What kind of colors are behind you? What kind of color chart is that behind you?
No, these one are my colors.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I like it. I just needed to choose. And I have another one. I don't know if you can see it. But hold on a second.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
That's I love.
That's
It's nice that the stuff I paint, so I leave it there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very inspiring. Oh, hello there.
How are you doing?
Good, yeah.
Good to
Nice
see
to see you. Wow, you've got good internet.
I do. I guess I do. It's looking not bad. I'm dealing with tracing issues. My pencil seems to wear out before I get all the way around.
Yeah, it's true. You need to. It's a bit of a workout by the fourth tracing.
Right. So anyway.
In India, they have these big rocks, like a big rock for burnishing.
Yes, I could probably find one of those. Right now, I'm using a spoon.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe a ladle.
It's okay. It came out. It's fine. The trace. I mean, I can manage. I don't know.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
I'll be able to deal with it. And I guess becoming at peace with imperfection.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yeah, right.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. But I think that's like the human element, when people look and they see those little imperfections, that's the sort of entry point for the layman to sort of connect with the human.
Yes, and sometimes, I'm going to run over and get something that this piece, this was my tracing right here from one of the classes, I guess last week. And I just got so off that I decided I would mess around with it a little bit. No, I love the hand in it. So I also played around with this one that got completely messed up.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Decided to play with the chaos a little bit. This is kind of in progress. I'm not quite sure where it's going, but when they're not so exact, like something like this piece, then I just figure it's good practice to look, and it trains the eye a little bit to see lots of other possibilities that maybe weren't planned.
Yeah.
So,
there's more potential.
Enjoyed it.
Oh, thanks for sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm enjoying these classes so much. It's great.
Well, we're enjoying seeing all the work that's coming out of them. It's really inspiring. Everyone's taking the simple patterns to another level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure which level it is, but
Exactly, right? Yeah.
right. Are we up, down, inside, out?
Well, yeah,
All
it's
right.
more radio,
Anyway.
isn't it? It's just like emerging raindrops. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, good to see you. Y'all have a
You
great
too.
rest of your evening, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, it's happy solstice. This may be the longest day of the year.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is good.
Yeah, we got a lot more day to come.
All right.
All right.
You
Catch
take
you
it.
later. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Anyone else like to say hello or goodbye before we?
Yeah, I'll say hello before you go.
Oh, hello, John. Hey.
Hello.
How'd you get on? Oh. Yes, I saw it. I caught it right at the end there.
That's the good bit. I was in a bit of a hurry when I started the tracing, so I actually missed the paper at the bottom. I don't know if you can see.
Sort of.
It goes off the edge of the page anyway, so I've got to redo it.
Okay. Well, it's always good to do a trial run and then get a sense of what's to come.
Yeah, definitely. But I just want to say I'm really looking forward to Thursday because a lot of the pictures I've done, I just feel like they really could do with a border. So I've tried different things before, so that's going to be really good fun. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll try and talk a little bit about how to rescale them as well to fit different patterns. And
great. Yeah, the corners are tricky, aren't they?
yeah, the miters. Yeah. You have to give them proportional breathing space to move around. And yeah.
Look forward to that.
Oh, good. All right then. See you there.
Thank you.
Well, I like your tree pillar in there. Is that actually a post supporting the house?
Yeah, it's a bit of oak off Dartmoor.
Wow, crikey. Is it a supportive post? The beam?
Yeah, it kind of supports the stairwell, yeah.
Oh, right. Did you build your house?
No, I renovated it. It's an old cottage.
Okay.
Well, you'd quite like the windows, actually, Adam. Let's see if I can show you. It's an old chapel originally.
What?
So,
look at that.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I'm very lucky. It's a nice house. Yeah, I got to it about 17 years ago. And the stairwell looked like it needed some support, so it was a good excuse to put a tree in here.
Yeah. I like your style. Awesome. All right, thanks, John. I loved your little display as well on the wall. I love that picture.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry I put my drop pattern upside down.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll allow you in Morocco if you Awesome. All right. See you soon. Yeah, see you Thursday.
Thanks again. Thank you.
All right, guys. We're gonna say goodbye. See you all later. See you soon. Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Thursday.
Bye. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. See you.
See you, everyone.